Hey, I want to do a podcast on what the most common lies about real estate investing are. It's kind of a subject of mine that I really see out there a lot, where people are actually buying houses and stuff that just look good on paper. There's a lot more to it, and there's a lot of people that aren't really dealing with it. I saw a video today where they stripped everything down in a property to the studs in an old home in not the best part of town. I wouldn't put more than 15 grand into that. I wouldn't even buy it. But the thing of it is, you're talking, six-figure rehabs why they do that. So they're going to get more money. That's how they make their construction more expensive, and that's where they make their money, is through construction. So when you're looking at a property, you got to purchase, rehab, lease, manage, and do all the other stuff while taking care of it. So there's a lot of stuff to it. People kind of look at it's sexy from the get-go. We're going to go do this and that. It's going to come together, and it's all going to work great. Well, that isn't the way it always goes. But most of the time, if you have the right people around you, then it can go that way. It'll be a lot easier because there's a lot of stuff you need to look at. How long is a tenant going to stay? I have mostly homes. One of my clients has an 8-plex, and he has some other stuff, but it turns tenants. It does. You're going to have to fix it, release it, and those are $875 a month tenants. What's better, $2,200, $1,550, or an $875 tenant? They're just passing through. They're waiting until they can either have enough money, or they're at the end of the road and they're going to have to move on to something even worse than that, as far lower for rent. So there's a lot to it. There's our tenants and homes with the stuff that we buy in A and B areas they stay about 25 months. You can go to my website, which I'll post below this, and check out all our numbers, but we always have them at least 25, usually 25 months. It's very rare that somebody moves out early, but sometimes it happens, but most of the time it doesn't. And when you buy a property too, when you're doing rehab, you have to understand that the rehab needs to get done, number one, correctly, and it also needs to be done in budget. So when you're stripping down walls and you're getting behind stuff, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. It just is. And when you got multiplexes and stuff of that nature, especially the older ones here in Cleveland, you're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff. And if you're in areas that are not so conducive to quality people, then you're going to have other issues there. So the budget is a big, big thing. And then after that, so for example, in homes, we can get those done in AB areas. We can get them done, and then we put a warranty on them. And it's got a $60, $100 deductible if something goes wrong. And it's about $495 a year, $500 a year. And it's well worth it because you control your costs, number one. Number two is there's no surprises. We also get an insurance policy on the drain line to the street. It costs $6 a month. We know where to get that, and it protects you because it's a $1,000 deductible on a $10,000 to $15,000 job. The other thing that we like to do is look at appreciating areas. Values are huge. So how do we add values? We do a lot of stuff to our houses. For example, we add bathrooms. It really ups it up. I had a house over in Parma that would have been 150. We put a bathroom in it. We sold it for 190. So there's a big difference there on that. And when it comes down to the demand for the property, that's another crucial thing. So we just put, like in Parma or Wycliffe or Willowick, we don't have, people go, well, I have a dream when it's all 100% occupied in these bigger buildings. We're 100% occupied. We don't have any homes at all for rent. So those stay pretty much occupied, and it's 25 plus months. I've had them all the way up to 6 years. So we do that. And then you want to make sure, too, that whoever's doing your property, as far as property management or whatever, knows how to market. I thought that, I think that a week is too long to rent something. So I started putting out some short videos on the properties, got a lot of stuff going, and got a lot of people interested, and helped a few of them rent pretty quick. So now I'll start using that as a marketing. So I don't take away marketing because we create websites for every one of our properties that we put up for rent, but I add to it. Where else can I market to make sure that this thing's up? So we put them in the MLS. It goes to, I don't know, 300-400 sites, social sites, Realtor.com, that kind of stuff, Homes.com. And then we add them to Zillow. Zillow, you have to pay for that, but still well worth it. Again, our main thing at the end is we want to get this thing leased as fast as possible because it doesn't need to be vacant. So that's why it's real important to have a good team around you. As I mentioned many times, I've done 1,200 plus properties, and we understand what we need to do. We have a 99.5% success rate with our property management. If you have a problem property, you've gotten into a property, which I talk to people pretty much every week, that they're having issues with the property management. We can help you take care of that. Call me, and if we can, we can usually help you with that and get that taken care of for you. I'll go out to the property, check it out, tell you what we need to do, and we'll do it. And I have a big resume for that. So, like I said, 600 plus property or 1,200 plus properties and counting. And then continued support on that. So when a lot of people do this, they want to be a landlord for a while, but are they licensed and bonded with the state? Do they have E&O insurance? Because continued support means legally you need to make sure that they're legal. In Ohio, you have to have a broker who owns the property management, which we do, and we have to be licensed and bonded with the state, and we have E&O insurance. So we have a trust account at Chase Bank that we keep all our money in. So it's not going to disappear or anything like that. I've heard horror stories. I've heard up to $400,000 leaving bank accounts on these type of unlicensed property managers. So be careful with that, because that is your investment. And business, you want to be professional. You want to make sure that you have professional people around you. You want to make sure that people know what they're doing. It's super crucial. How they're going to kick them out, if they need to be kicked out, what are the ways to do that? How's that legally done, or how can you get them out maybe without going to court? There's a lot of different stuff. We had 5 evictions last year, and we've only had about, I think, 1 or 2 this year. So, we do strict background credit checks. We verify other things to make sure that we have a good tenant. Also, you want to have insurance. Insurance is a guy to go with you and have your own. And sometimes when you do run into a problem with a tenant during the real estate income part of it, you navigate that. We had one particular one that knew she was going to go into a hospital for 3 months, didn't have the money. So before she went to the hospital, we had talked to one of the charities that does this, and we got all that paid up front for her and the client. And she's still in the house today. She's doing very well, and she's making her payments. Move outs are a big deal. So when people move out, and they aren't vetted correctly, or maybe they're federally funded, the rehab's a little bit more. Nobody calculates that in. I can tell you that if people are putting their own money down for deposits, they're going to be more careful with your property. Last 2 properties we did was $900 and $600 to get down and back on the market, because they wanted their deposit back, which they got. So that's one of the supreme ways to save money. People don't ever look into, hey, I'm in this area that's not all that well. How do you think the place is going to look when they move out in 6-12 months? You're going to have to keep pumping money into that thing. And I wouldn't want, I've been in the business for since 85, so I've seen it. 1985, I've seen a lot of stuff that I've seen people do that I would never do. And who's assisting you? Just look at that, because it's just not as easy as you think, but it can be easier if you have the right people around you. We have licensed property management. We have our own rehab. I'm a licensed realtor. So why does the property management not lease the properties? It's better for me to do that because Key Realty gives me CRM software. I have all my own blog with over 8 million hits. I got a YouTube channel with 9,000 plus subscribers. I have Facebook. I have all the social media stuff that I need to keep let people know what I have for rent or for sale or whatever. So if you're looking to buy a property, call me. It's a little tight right now, but it'll get better with the way things are right now. There's not that much inventory, but I can still look, and we are getting some. And then if you've got a property that you're having problems with, that's not cash flowing, or you don't see, don't think you're getting enough rent. That's another thing I see a lot. I see a lot of property management put a lower rent to get it rented quick. I was talking to a guy that had a house over in Garfield Heights. It was probably a $1,600 a month property. He was getting $1,350. I said, I better rent it in like Lighton. He goes, yeah. How'd you know that? Well, it's below rent. Anybody can do that. So we always go for the top rents. That's another thing we do. Had a house over in Streetsboro we just rented. My projection was $1,700, but I re-looked at everything, and so we went for $2,000. But we actually got $1,900 a month for it. So that's a $200 pop, $2,400 more for the client, and we got a good tenant. So this is stuff we look at. It's a professional data driven game with the MLS. I have way more information than someone that isn't a realtor. So I can look at stats, like for example, I know that Lyndhurst, Willowick, and Wickliffe all have less than a month's worth of inventory on the market. That means if you want to sell a house over there right now, you're going to do it pretty quick. So anyway, don't listen that it's easy, because it isn't. But if you get the right people around you and learn as you go, then real estate investing is quite profitable. It's creates wealth. It's created wealth for me. I didn't come from the right side of the tracks. I just I did it through real estate. So again, give me a call. I'm Brett with Key Realty. Been doing this I've been an investor since '85, a realtor since 2000. Done over 1,200 plus homes. I buy the same homes I tell you to buy. 216-703-5740. Make sure you check that website below and see that the numbers that we actually get on these. Again, I appreciate everything and have a great day.